Toastmasters and honor guests.
Good evening.
Today, please let me give you one proposal. Evaluate Evaluator. So I always think that evaluate other speech, but they are not evaluated, right? That's strange. They should be evaluated also. I'm just joking, but why I think in that way. Last time, October, I took the role of evaluator for my first time. Then I realized there is no feedback for evaluator. Actually, I was waiting for some comment from other Toastmasters, but no one gave me any comment to me. I felt that before the evaluation, I was so nervous whether I can correctly comment for the speech or maybe I say something stupid. But after the evaluation, I was still nervous. Was my comment correct? Or was my comment right? What kind of better comments I should give to the speakers? So, why giving feedback to evaluators is important is this reason. In order to be a good speaker, you have to experience an evaluator. Because I played as a role of evaluator, I noticed many points how to make a good speech. And I'm trying to give a next speech maybe in January, but I found many ideas how to improve my speech. Before being an evaluator, I could not objectively see my speech and, of course, not only my speech, but also other speech, so superficially, not deeply. So I want to recommend all of you to be an evaluator, to be a good speaker. So, but I think there are 3 points to improve with some comment of evaluator. Now, I'm not talking about specific someone's comment of evaluator, but feedback for evaluator is not enough, I've already mentioned. And sometimes out of speech objective, not specific. So some evaluators say, yeah, your speech was so good in that point, blah, blah, blah. And your speech must be improved in this point, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes these comments are not talking about whether their speech was in the scope of objective or not. And just one-time comment is a real problem. So if one evaluator gives speaker a comment, that's just one time. Everyone forget what they were told, right? So I would try to accumulate knowledge in this craft for good evaluation and good speech. So considering these 3 problems, I'd like to propose this one. Form of evaluator. Would you kindly see the material you just received before the meeting? There are 2 pages. First page is blank form, and second page is some example how to fill in the form. The upper side of the form is about the contents of the evaluator's comment. The lower side of the form is about the delivery, how to give your comment as evaluator. So if you can fill in the form accordingly, you can give your comment effectively to the speaker automatically, I believe. So this is just a proposal. So I think there must be some improvement for this form. But as a trial for sometimes, I'd like to consider to use this form. How to use this form evaluator? Why? Try more easier to be evaluator. Be evaluator and be good speaker, and good speaker can be a good evaluator. This is kind of positive loop, positive spiral, right? And who? to be evaluated, beginner of evaluator specifically. So experienced evaluator maybe doesn't need any feedback from other Toastmasters, or they are not out of scope or objective. Never, right? But beginner of evaluator is so nervous, like me in October. And to evaluate, who evaluate the evaluator is a mentor of the evaluator or experienced Toastmaster. Yeah, this is just an idea. So if you give me any comment, it's so welcome. And one specific comment for improvement is no. So as you see the form, you think, oh, there are too many to write. Oh, it's so disgusting, maybe. But one specific comment is enough, I believe. Because we are so easy to forget many things, right? So one specific comment is more effective than too many superficial comments. Easy comment. You know what I mean? And when comment during the meeting, then send the form directly to evaluator within a few days. This is just also an idea, but I expect that it is difficult to fill in the form during the meeting, so this is just an example. Yes, this is my proposal, but I believe that you cannot imagine how it works actually, right? So, from now on, Toastmaster Kamimura will give you a great presentation of tutorial, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Okumura. It's very important. So maybe for guests, maybe you don't know, but so after the speech, we get a feedback from an evaluator. So by getting a feedback from the evaluator, we can improve our speeches. So but sometimes the evaluation doesn't work so efficiently. So that's why Toastmaster Okumura came up with the idea to have a workshop to improve the quality of evaluation. So, and maybe you will see the evaluation later in this meeting. Okay. And from now on, I will use about 7 or 8 minutes to demonstrate two things. The first one is bad evaluation to our imaginary speech by Toastmaster Okumura. And second demonstration is our feedback example to that evaluation. And both performed by myself, so please don't be confused. And so at first demonstration, please imagine that you are a speaker who just delivered a speech and waiting for evaluation. And please pay attention to the content of my evaluation rather than delivery, or how to say it. Ready? Good. Congratulations, Toastmaster Okumura. You successfully completed CC9 Persuade with Power with wonderful story. It strongly impressed me because the topic you chose, setting an evaluator at project meeting, was really eye-opening to me. So, sometimes at my office, I see lots of unproductive meetings as the facilitator do not set the goal of the meeting, or some participants keep speaking about off-topic stuff. But however, I've never given the feedback to such members because I was afraid of breaking the relationship among members by my words, which nobody asked me to say. So I always wish my company to set some system to produce constructive feedback without damaging the relationships. And he explained it very well because he started to explain why, how, and what he did to set an evaluator at project meeting in his office. So let's go back to his story. So first, his team had been conducting unproductive meetings And one day, a member finally criticized a project manager named Mr. Kamimura lack of preparation. And Mr. Kamimura, in response to that, criticized another member who always spoke too much. And the meeting room turned into a battlefield. All participants being terribly injured. And it broke both their opportunity to improve themselves and relationship among members. So that's why Toastmaster Okumura decided to create a system to produce constructive feedback among members without breaking the relationship. As Toastmaster Okumura learned constructive feedback from Toastmasters program, he came up with an idea to set an evaluator at each project meeting in his office. And in order to persuade the senior management members, he put their hands to OTMC meetings as guests to actually show their constructive feedback. And thanks to Toastmaster Okumura's effort, the company decided to install an evaluator at the project meeting. So the whole story was very persuasive. And if I suggest some point for further future improvement, it might be good to use body language or vocal variety more in your speech. And also it also works well if you put your emotion in the important parts of your story. Oh, one more thing, engaging the audience is also very important, so that the audience will be persuaded. And I'm really looking forward to your next speech, CC10, inspire the audience. Thank you very much. This is the first half of my demonstration, and would you kindly share your impression from my evaluation, especially for the bad point?
Very long.
Yeah.
It was very long.
Long.
Very long your story.
Yes. That's an important point. Yes, I spoke out of my interest, not considering Toastmaster Okumura. And any other comments?
It's a very vague. You pointed out some delivery point to be improved, but really vague. What kind of points need to be improved? What need to be more precise?
Exactly, the improvement point was very vague, not specific at all. Yes. And any other comments from you? Yeah, as they said, I incorporate 3 major mistakes in my speech. So speak out of my own interest and summarize the speech itself, not mention the impact or effect of his speech. And also, all my suggestions are very vague. And I will move on to the second demonstration. And please imagine that you are a person who gives feedback to that evaluator. How do you tell them? And my words the words in my feedback will be somewhat straightforward, but please focus on the contents in my feedback. Hey, Toastmaster Kamimura. Thank you very much for sharing your evaluation. I'm so glad to know that you learned a lot from Toastmaster Okumura's speech, and you will incorporate the idea to improve your organization. That's very nice. And by the way, I found a few things from your speech which makes your evaluation even more meaningful. And I wrote it in our evaluation sheet, the upper part. So let me read. So, the first one, the contents of evaluator's comment. Is evaluator's comments focused on speech objective? Not very much. Most of your comments are not related to speech objectives. And there are 2 typical mistakes we often make. The first one is speaking out of our own interests. As you mentioned, the condition in your office. And sharing your interest might be good for ice break, but it deprives your time for evaluation if you speak too much. And second mistake is to summarize the speech itself. What speaker needs is not the summary of their own speeches. It is how effective way they took to achieve the speech objectives. So, for example, for Toastmaster Okumura's speech, you are expected to evaluate it based on how effectively he persuaded the audience. So starting from speech objective is a very foundation of evaluation. Okay, let's move on to the next comment. 2. Comment on improvement. Was why improvement is necessary explained? No. The other important point for giving feedback is making it specific and concrete. So if you mention engaging the audience, if you putting emotion in the speech, you'd start by saying, oh, so I forgot that. So let's go back to 1 minute ago. So the comment on improvement. A, why my speech is necessary. Explained? No. I was confused. So, as for suggestion to Toastmaster Okumura, I think you showed great insights in terms of areas of improvement. Using body language, vocal variety, putting emotion, or engaging the audience, all have some potential to improve Toastmaster Okumura's speech. Great points. And if you would like him to fully understand your suggestion, I recommend starting with why. Why your suggestion is important to achieve speech objectives. That's the first step for speaker to understand your suggestion. So if you mention putting emotion in your speech, you'd start by saying, one of the important ways to persuade the audience is appealing not only to their minds, but also to their hearts or feelings. Here, emotion plays really there, like this. And go to B. Was the comment specific? No. The other important point for giving feedback is making it specific and concrete. So if you mention engaging the audience, it's your big mission to show the speaker how to engage the audience. Because speaker doesn't need the improvement point itself. They need the concrete way to put the point into practice. So if I were you, I'd like to tell Toastmaster Okumura, I think your speech would be even more persuasive if you strongly engage your audience from the beginning. For example, it might be good to start with a question. Have you experienced an unproductive meeting? Or do you struggle to utilize your Toastmaster experience in real life? I always had these problems, but recently I found a solution from our terrible meeting. So starting with a question concerning the audience and giving a solution for that is one of the effective ways to engage the audience from the beginning. So these kind of specific, concrete feedback are expected for Evaluator. And this is my feedback to you, Toastmaster Kamimura. And I hope it helps you to some extent. But please remember the evaluation is not very easy. I made lots of mistakes, but by trying it again and again and getting lots of feedbacks, we will be more capable evaluator and people who foster the others by offering constructive and meaningful feedback. So let's try to be an evaluator. Thank you very much. That's the end of my demonstration.
Yeah. So, any questions? So, our proposal is let's be an evaluator. Good evaluator produces good speakers, and good speakers and good evaluators make our club much better. If you can agree with this concept, please give us any feedback. How to use this form or maybe another option is so welcome. This is just an idea. And we are going to try this as a trial. You see?
Any question about the material or demonstration or anything for this session? Yeah, Toastmasters.
Thank you.
Medium.
Yeah.
Do you think this is for all evaluators?
No, just my idea. My idea is,
Yeah, your idea.
yeah, evaluator ask someone beforehand.
If you evaluator want to
Yes,
get the
exactly.
feedback,
Exactly.
so this form is always ready for the sergeant attempts to
Exactly.
pick up
We are going to
from the evaluator.
we are going to make this material available and on online, and also some project ones just in entrance every time.
I think it's a good idea, but I don't check the content yet though, but the idea is
Yeah.
very good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Okay. So could be a small question. I'm wondering if the word term of mistake is appropriate in the comment. Is it okay to use mistake?
So you mean the
It could be the negative feeling. Give the negative feeling. It's my personally it's an opinion, but it's feeling. But it's just what confirm.
yeah, personally I avoid writing mistake personally, but it depends on the people.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so specific comment is really welcome. So, for example, you need to try more vocal variety. It's so vague, right? What is a variety? So fluctuation is still vague. But if you say you have to stop for 3 seconds before your main point, that is so specific, right? You can improve your speech from now on, just now. So that's what we are looking at. I'm sorry for your question.
If possible, I want to have 3 people. One speaker and 2 evaluators. And one should be a bad evaluator, and another should be better evaluator, and talk about. It's very hard for me to grasp the content or the image by imaginary speaker.
You mean that as for demonstration, right?
Yeah.
Of course, it's a kind of play or trick, but it's okay.
Yeah, but thank you. Yeah, this is a great comment. Yeah. Okay, it's okay.
So if you have any questions, please ask them during the break.
Yeah.
Thank you for your